Hello, hello.
Wednesday, December 2nd.
Wow. Yesterday was rent day.
Yesterday was very good.
Yes.
Yesterday was a very productive rent day. Rents came in very well. And now today, it's funny how cyclical it is. The first, it's just rent coming in left, right, center. The second, now it's starting to follow up with those loose ends and those stranglers, and then after that it's people that are deliberately not paying and then going down that process.
Yes,
right?
And it is cyclical, right? Every month it's kind of the same. You start seeing the rents coming in on the 27th.
Yep.
Some even earlier than that, of course.
Yeah.
And it picks up 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st if there's a 31st in the month, and then of course the first is usually where the majority of the tenants pay, and yeah. So hope you had a first
a very
December
good first,
very good December 1st that rent came in, and if not, then you should start doing your due diligence right now and start the follow-up process.
Oh, one thing I have not done, and every year I listen to the radio, but I've just been listening to different podcasts and that on YouTube when I'm driving, but I don't know if they've started the holiday radio. Probably,
Okay,
right?
Yes.
We're in December now?
Yes.
So
I think they started sooner than that, because I remember the girls started singing one song anyhow, a few of the most popular songs. So yeah, it's already that time as well. But December is not a time to stop. It's not a time to slow down necessarily on your dreams and goals. And yeah, there's a lot of different maybe family activities or different things if you have kids and whatnot. And we'll be doing all that fun stuff as well, of course. But it's also the time I like to be ahead. I like to start off January with a bang. I don't want to wait till January to set my January goals. I'm starting to achieve them now.
Well, if you wait till January for 2021, why? You're already in 2021. You might as well start in 2020.
Yeah.
So we've already got a deal that's closing up, that's firmed up in 2021. So we're already purchasing real estate into there. And today we're going to be talking about a factor that comes into play with purchasing real estate, and that is, and I never know how to pronounce it properly. I never know if it's analysis paralysis or if it's paralysis by analysis.
Yes, we probably could have Googled it beforehand.
You can Google it either way.
Either way, I think it goes, eh?
It seems to be analysis by paralysis or from paralysis, however you want to say it, but I have heard paralysis by analysis. So
yes.
If you're comment below what you think the actual proper way of saying it is.
I
but
thought
you know
it
what
was
I mean.
analysis paralysis.
I thought so too.
But I might be wrong.
Yeah, but people say it both ways.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be talking about that today because that is what holds most people back from success. Or maybe they do a few properties and then again, they get stuck and it's that analysis paralysis that helps or that prevents them from moving forward. So if you're new to our channel, thank you so much for joining us. If you've been following us for a while, thank you so much for being here. Make sure if you aren't already to subscribe to our channel, hit that subscribe button and also hit the bell because we go live every single week and we release new videos as well every single week as well.
And tonight we have is it a podcast or a webinar?
It's a webinar.
So
yes.
We might go maybe before or after, no promises, might go live again on YouTube.
There we go. So it's going to be at a surprise time because we're not sure exactly what time it's going to end at. So hit that bell and that's going to, usually when we do the live evening sessions, it's Q&A. So you'll be able to ask us lots of questions. We're going to be doing some Q&As today as well.
Yes. So if you have questions, start putting it in the comments, start asking, let us know because we will be getting to the Q&A.
Awesome.
But before we start,
we got to do the intro.
Radio voice?
Yes, here it is.
I thought about it this morning on the way. Anyway.
Are you practicing when you're by yourself in your vehicle? Is that what you're saying? Well, I don't know.
I will not answer that question. I will refrain from saying yes or no. No comment.
The poor kids that when you drove them to school today, poor kids.
Poor kids, yeah, it's a snow day today. But yeah, the radio voice. So welcome to the Investor Mel and Dave podcast. Today we will be talking about analysis paralysis, or also known as paralysis by analysis. So yeah, let's get started. This is I find an important subject. And this is because it's not, people like talking how to find deals, how to manage deals, how to save money. But this is something that could truly be keeping you back from buying real estate.
Yes.
And that's a very serious problem, or a very serious issue.
People ask me all the time, what's the biggest mistake people make? And they want to know all these things. And what about cash flow? And what about my exit strategy? Because we buy properties, none of our own money, no joint venture partners. That's our specialty. How do you do this? And how do you do that? And they want to know all the answers. And that's great. But if you're not taking action, you can have all the knowledge piece that you want. But if you're missing that action piece, you're not going to own any more properties. And you may want to ask yourself, where are you at in your own personal action journey? And maybe you have been very, action driven, and that's awesome. But if you're just trying to get the information and you're not jumping, you're not moving forward, you're not taking those steps, that's where the fear comes in. And I want you to know this is really, really normal. And it's often based on fear.
Yes.
Fear of the unknown, fear of not knowing what you don't know, or what if something happens and it goes wrong. So fear is often the reason it ends up holding us back.
Yeah, and there's three things I want to go over today, the reasons why I see paralysis, analysis paralysis. But before that, I just want to, and I think I've said it a few times now, but Ford vehicles. And what was his name? John Ford? I forget who the actual inventor of the Ford vehicle was. John Ford? Hank Ford? Henry Ford?
Henry Ford. Yeah, there you go.
What did I say initially?
John.
It's close enough. Anyway, Henry Ford.
John Smith, are you going to say next?
So Henry Ford, there's a famous quote or famous line by him that he says, thank goodness that the customers buy my vehicles before I have them perfect. And whenever he said that, or whenever I read that, he said it a long time ago, but whenever I read it, I thought, wow, because that's the opposite of analysis paralysis.
Yes.
So,
and knowing that
nothing's ever going to be perfect.
You're never going to know it all before you start. And every time you go to expand and grow, you're always going to face the same situation. I mean, I can remember my first apartment, thinking I kind of knew enough to get me through. And I didn't, and I ended up having to sell it because it was an illegal apartment. I didn't realize that at the time.
It was kind of a house hack that you did.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, bigger picture, I learned. I made some mistakes. I knew how to take care of tenants, and I still made some money, so it still was worth it.
That was actually a really good learning one.
It was a great learning
Unfortunately,
experience.
it was really...
But that happens. But if I would have waited, and maybe I would have waited an extra 2 years to take action to try to get everything better organized and really, really know my stuff, maybe I wouldn't have made that mistake, perhaps. But during that time, I continued to buy properties and was still able to grow faster, right? And that's the thing. You're never going to know it all. Of course, education is key, but action coupled with education is absolutely essential. And that's the piece I was missing. I was willing to take action, and I did. I just didn't have the education or the knowledge in it. So I went forward a little bit without missing that crucial piece, and that's why we always say it's so worth investing in a mentor.
Well, and let's touch on that knowledge piece, because like you said, let's use your example where you took action but you didn't have the knowledge. Okay, so that's kind of opposite of analysis paralysis. Right. But some people do get held up because they're just right there. They're ready to take action, but they just don't have that knowledge, or they think they need experience before they can do anything. So if you don't have the knowledge, what do you do? How do you bust out of that bubble where you get the knowledge, right? Thank you for watching us on YouTube. That's obviously going to help you towards your knowledge base. Like Mel said, there's mentorship programs, there's audio books, there's all sorts of different things, but don't let knowledge be a barrier. You need to break through that knowledge barrier, because the info's out there.
Exactly. And then for the action piece, right? And I think it's really making a choice. It doesn't really get easier. I think it's a choice that you just have to face. If you want to grow your portfolio, you have to get uncomfortable. If you want to, if you're thinking, okay, I'm missing that knowledge piece, I don't feel, I know I'm missing some information to be successful investing in a mentor. Again, it's scary. Is it going to work? You can self-doubt, so many reasons, but pushing through that and actually taking action, whether it's acquisition, whether it's investing in your own learning, whatever it is, wherever you're at in your journey, not taking that action piece, holding back, waiting for the perfect time.
And I want to talk about a mindset behind, but before I forget that, I just wanted to say it's kind of like a muscle, right? you want to run a marathon, but you haven't gone out for a jog yet, right? You want to lift a bunch of weights, but you've never lifted weights. Same thing with these deals. And I know there's people out there that say, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong, they'll say, look at 100 deals before you buy or anything like that. But if you're not running numbers, so there's two ways of looking at this. If you're not running any numbers, if you're not analyzing any deals, then yeah, I'd be scared too, right? If you don't have any experience doing it and you've never done that. The other thing is if you're running a lot of deals all the time, but then just always looking for that perfect deal, or just having these unrealistic, there you go, unrealistic goals as to what a deal should look like. And you're never going to get that deal. And that keeps you in that analysis paralysis instead of just dropping that a little bit and being realistic in different markets. So, but you won't get to that, or you won't know what is a good deal or how you should look at a deal if you're not doing deals, if you're not reviewing deals. So you've got to work that out. You've got to work out that muscle of doing deals. And speaking of working it out, press the like button, work out your index finger, press the like, subscribe, give us some love.
Give us a little bit of love, and thank you for that. Yes, absolutely. And again, it will always be there. I think you'll always have a certain amount of fear. And looking back on my first duplex, or our first sixplex, and our first 17plex, but I think you're right, reflecting on it, that it's like a muscle. Somehow, we just recently purchased a 50plex. Buying that 50plex, is it uncomfortable? Of course, anything you do that's different is a little bit uncomfortable. But the fear wasn't there quite as much, because now I'm confident that I know that. Am I going to have some roadblocks? Perhaps, of course. That's just a reality. But I'm more confident in my own skills that I will never quit. I'm not a quitter, and if there's a roadblock, I'm going to go through it, right, and push past it.
Yeah, and I like that you're talking about scenarios that we've had, because again, it is true. When we bought our first duplex, it was scary. Now we could buy duplexes all day long, right? We've worked out that muscle. When we bought the 50plex, we were scary. Whenever we bought our first building, this was probably one of the biggest. When we bought our first building that had a commercial tenant, I remember thinking, I looked at the numbers, everything made sense, and I almost had that analysis paralysis, thinking, I'm not a commercial landlord. I don't know anything about it. We both didn't know
any experience.
We had no experience, but
yes,
again, knowledge is out there. Other people are doing it. You're not reinventing the wheel. So we broke through that barrier. We broke through that analysis paralysis because the deal made sense. Mm-hmm. Now I'm thinking of a current deal that we just closed yesterday, December 1st, 15-unit deal. Okay, and I'm just talking about analysis paralysis. And this is a very unique deal. This is a deal where the two buildings beside it burnt last winter. So this building is completely vacant. There's only 2 commercial tenants that are in there, 15 units. So there's 7 res as of today, and the rest are commercial. Mm-hmm. This is a deal that a couple of years ago we wouldn't have touched with a 10-foot pole. But again, you just build up your tolerance. You break through that analysis paralysis. Now, a completely vacant unit that needs a bunch of work, and that had a fire, and that has vacant, like all that stuff. Again, it's every time you work out that muscle of reviewing deals, doing deals, gaining that knowledge, you just break through that analysis paralysis to a point where you're not worried about things because you know you'll figure it out, or you have figured it out before and have the experience.
Yeah, and it starts off quite often with small things. Looking back, you'll think back like, oh, that was nothing back then. And when I met you, Dave knew that he was going to be a millionaire by 30 through real estate investing. He was very confident, but you weren't taking action.
No.
But you were so confident, I'm going to be a millionaire by the time I'm 30. And there was no doubt about it in his mind. He knew it. That's what he was going to do. But then when I would actually look at what you were doing, you're like, but what if I get a bad tenant? Like, what if they don't pay rent? And it was like, well,
what I was saying wasn't in line with what I was doing.
Right. I think you knew what you wanted. You had your goals and everything, which is amazing. But that action, the fear of the unknown, right? The analysis paralysis.
For me, it was the leases. I was worried about the leases, remember? And the tenant aspect. That kept me up on the shelf as opposed to getting into the game.
Right. But as soon as you realize that, hey, it's not that bad. If a tenant doesn't pay, then there's procedures and Landlord Act and all that kind of stuff, as long as you follow the regulations and you Google it, and away we go.
Yes, no, that was a very big one. And something I want to say is, and I don't know, I'm not saying this is you, but I'm saying have a true self-reflection in the mirror. Because with analysis paralysis, I think, or I believe, that some people will say that they have analysis paralysis, and they're hiding their fear. There might be a fear of something else. That they're scared that, because there's a lot of different fears when it comes to real estate, right? Once you start making money, people treat you differently. Once you have different freedoms and flexibilities, coworkers might not be happy for you. Like we've had an actual YouTube video that talks about this. So
It was the haters or something
haters
like
and
that.
naysayers.
Yes.
But that's something I want to address. Is there might be something kind of behind that where it's a lot more comfortable and safer to say, oh, it's analysis paralysis, I can't just jump in the game. But it's that fear that's telling you something else, right?
Well, it's always the timing. There's no perfect timing.
No.
And we hear it all the time from people. I'm going to wait till my kids are older. My kids are just young. I'm going to wait to take action till next year. You know, it's the holidays coming up. We're going to be busy. I'm going to wait. Okay, well, while you're, and then what? January hits, and then a family member is sick, or then somebody loses a job, or then there's always something that happens.
There's always going to be something.
And I look back throughout our entire investing journey, and I can honestly say that pretty much any time I could have made an excuse, right? I could have, and it would have been a justifiable excuse as well, right? Well, I have young kids. My dad was sick. You know, whatever.
Your dad had triple or quadruple.
Heart attack.
Let's look in the last 4 or 5 years since Mel and I really exploded with real estate. Since 2017. So since 2017, Mel's dad, again, analysis paralysis, that could have been an excuse. Mel's dad had
a heart attack.
Your dad had quadruple bypass once or twice?
Twice, yeah.
My dad died. We had a highway rollover, almost died. Our son was born in intensive care. We both quit our jobs, right? That was scary again, not knowing what the banks are going to say. So, like, there's a lot of things that can happen. There's been sicknesses in the family as well. So,
kids, busy activity, and the day on top of it all, just the
it doesn't have to be dramatic stuff either,
just
right?
the typical day-to-day things that happen to you, and yeah, you're just trying to see it. And that's the thing, is that if you're trying to time it, it's just not going to happen. Now I'm trying to wait till I have more money. Well, again, it's
tomorrow becomes never, later becomes never.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's going to be the crisis of the day in that day. So again, to bring it back to analysis paralysis, that, like what Mel is saying, that might be something that is playing on your mind. It's kind of like a deep-rooted, a deep-seated thought or belief or feeling that you're having that is creating that analysis paralysis. And we're just here to tell you, break through it, because every time that we've had it and broke through it, we were happy we did so. And now you get to build that. You get to build that muscle. You get to build that tolerance. You get to build that mentality of, we're going to get through this. And I'm not saying go buy the next deal you see, but if you're analyzing a bunch of deals and you know, okay, I found a good deal and I should buy it, but I'm scared because of the time and all those other excuses you told yourself. Get off the bench, hop on into the game, buy that asset, break through that analysis paralysis, because once you do that once, you're going to be able to continue that momentum with more and more buildings.
And I think the foundation for us to push through every time, because again, it's scary and the fear is always there, it kind of comes back to your why, right? And remembering your own personal why. And there's certainly a why you want to do this.
Yeah.
There's a why you chose to spend a bit of time with us, and either listening to us at home, thank you, or watching us right now, or watching the recording later on as well. But the reason is, what is that why? And you should really need to focus on it. And it cannot be about money. Why is not money, although we often first think that it is. But, you know, it's something way deeper. And feel free to share it. We'll read
I'm
the
curious.
comments
Share below the comments and questions.
What's your why? Why do you want to do this? Is it because you want to quit your full-time job? Maybe you want to travel when the world opens up again. Maybe you want to spend more time with your kids. One of our Action Family mentoring mentees had shared with me her why, and I thought it was really neat. And she said, I want to make Rice Krispie squares with my daughter more often. And I thought, I love that. Right? Just having the time, yes. the freedom of choice to do what you want.
And look at sorry, that's not what I was going to talk about, but I'm just thinking on that note, Mel, when I heard you talking to the lady, she had told us, and it was so powerful. She said that her mother had reached the age of 60 or 65 and came to the realization that she could not stop working because she did not have a pension, or I forget the specifics, but her why was, my mom is 65, does not want to work anymore, and she did everything for me growing up and gave me the best life possible. Now it's my turn to give heard that back, right?
Yeah.
I remember thinking, wow,
So
that is
powerful.
incredible. That's an incredible why.
And identifying, and the reason we're talking about that today is because that's going to help you push through. So when you have that fear, oh, should I invest in myself? Oh, should I buy that property? Oh, should I do this? You know, why do you want to do this in the first place? And do really take that time to reflect back on it. And that helps you take that step forward.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it is so easy to identify a million reasons why not to, right?
It's going to be easier to back off and let analysis paralysis creep in, or to let fear. It's going to be so much more comfortable, so much easier to just go back to what you're doing, to tell yourself, next year, I don't have time.
Yeah.
You know what, my job's good enough. Like,
Yeah.
all those are going to be so much easier and so much more comfortable.
Yeah. And my mentorship specialist, as well as myself, you know, throughout the year, I have spoken with a lot of people, and every single time they go to take that action, oh, should I join? And they're like, you know, 99% of the time, like, oh, but I have fear, I'm fearful. And yes, and that feeling of like, oh, should I do this? Should I not do this? And even buying their first property, but then afterwards, it's also that, I did it. It's a relief as well, and it's excitement, and it's a sign of success, because staying in the same lane, keep doing the same thing, what do you think is going to happen? Same results. That's the way it is. Getting uncomfortable, buying that property, buying a bigger unit. Maybe you're used to buying single dwellings and you want to get into multifamily. Maybe you're used to multifamily, you want to get into commercial. Whatever it is that you personally want to do, doing that something different is always uncomfortable. But if you do it with proper education and knowledge and drive, and remember your why, then it's so worth it in the end.
And I know we're going to get to the Q&A, so start putting questions in and comments. But to kind of cap it off here, just another line that just resonates with me from Albert Einstein. And yeah, we'll jump into Q&A. We'll wrap up the analysis paralysis. But an Albert Einstein quote, and I'm not quoting it exactly, so don't hold me to it, is the mindset that gets you into a problem or into a situation is not the same mindset that is going to get you out of it. So think of that. When you're thinking of a deal and analysis paralysis creeps in, that's the mindset that you don't want. You want the mindset that is going to get you out of that analysis paralysis and buying real estate. Anyway, I just love that quote.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Albert
So
Einstein
true.
is a pretty smart guy, I would say.
If he said it, it's worth at least
I don't think that's
considering.
debatable. So,
yeah. Awesome.
yeah,
Let's
dive into the questions.
Yeah, let's dive
So thank you so much for staying right to the Q&A. Again, guys, put your comments, questions below. Don't hesitate to subscribe. We love it.
Yes, awesome. Alan, so he's sharing his why, to help build legacy wealth for family and friends.
Love it.
Is my why. I love that. Alan, you should
Good
write
stuff,
that
Alan.
down and post it on your fridge or on your bathroom wall and look at it
Every day.
And it's going to help you to keep taking action. Whether you have no properties right now or you have 20 properties, if you want to keep growing and getting closer and closer to that, look at it every single day. It's going to keep you driven.
I agree.
So awesome. Thank
Good
you
stuff,
for
Alan.
sharing.
Thank you for sharing.
Christine Rose, I want to leave a legacy for my children. That's my why. Awesome.
Same thing, Christine.
same
Post it
thing.
somewhere that you're going to see it, a high visible area.
Yeah, read it every day, and when it's time to get uncomfortable, remember this. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, actually, I'll read this one. Patricia Gomez. That's my way. Okay, so I guess I was talking about you, Patricia.
Oh, there we go. Patricia's part of
And
the
you know what?
Action
You
family.
can self-identify. That's awesome. I can't say it because that was your story, but that's amazing for saying it. That's my why. To make sure my mom can retire, and I'm so glad I found you guys. Aw.
Oh, thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Patricia.
And
That's
we're
awesome.
glad that we found you, and that's so powerful.
And don't you think that for Patricia, whenever she has that fear, that doubt, that potential analysis paralysis, she's going to remember, I'm doing this for mom. Boom, she's going to break through it.
Yeah,
Good for
love
you.
it.
I've got
That's
goosebumps. You can't see it.
fantastic.
I've got goosebumps.
That's fantastic. How ironic, but yet not so ironic that
Yeah.
you happen to be here while we share that. That's awesome. I love that. All right,
Suman.
another question here.
I think Suman is part of the Action family as well.
Okay, corporation rule. What's the eligibility and cost involved with starting a corp for first-time homebuyers? Advantages we can use on a corp.
Yes, and Suman, I think you had asked that, and we're actually going to be touching on that in the live today. If correct me if I'm wrong. So I'll go more in depth in the actual live, but I will touch on it here. There's different rules when buying your principal residence in a corporation, and I'll give you our example. So in 2018, we bought the house that we had on our vision board for 7 years or so, 7-8 years. I wanted to buy it in the corporation because there was a couple of rules, or there was rules a couple of years ago where it could benefit you, and again, liability, right? If something happens on your property, it's not you that owns it. However, let's say in Canada, and I think it's the same in the States. Let me just think about it. But in Canada, let's say I sell my principal residence. If it's in Dave and Mel's name, then we get the principal residence exemption on capital gains, right? When you sell an income property, you get tax capital gains.
Yes.
So you could have your principal residence that you bought for $100,000, and 20 years later you sell for $1 million. You're not going to have to pay any tax on that. If you have it in a corporation, Suman, and again, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer or anything like that, but if you have it in a corporation, I think you're not going to get that exemption. So that's a major one. And I think there's other intricacies on that. And the States is the same thing. Your principal residence, you do not pay capital gains on. Whereas if it's in a corporation, they might look at it as not a personally owned asset. So, but I'll get into more things as to financing and that, Suman. So remember to put it in the Action Family live when we go live at 1 today.
Yes, and I'll announce as well, speaking of going live, we will be
Yes.
going live. We weren't going to do it, and then we decided, you know what, now's the perfect time to take action. So we decided to do it again in December. So on December 10th, we will be going live on a webinar. We're going to be discussing how we purchased over 100 units, about 119.
119.
In 2020. We're going to be showing you a little bit more some mindset stuff, how we buy properties using none of our own money. We're going to show you some examples and all of that. So if you are interested and we haven't attended this live session, because yes, it is live. We
It's
go
about
live
an hour and a
for
half,
a good hour and a half.
Yeah, so you come hang out with us for an hour and a half.
Yeah, but you do have to pre-register for
Yes,
that one.
you're
So, so I'm going to say the address here, and maybe Raphael, if you can write this down. It's www.iloveopm.com. So www.iloveopm.com. And for those who don't know what OPM means, that's other people's money, and we love OPM because that's what changed our lives and that's what enabled
It's
us.
limitless too.
So yeah, so if you want to register, make sure to go there. Spots are limited. It always fills up. So make sure to join us for that. It's going to be next Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time.
Wow, December 10th is next
December
Thursday.
10th. Yeah, so that will be fun. So you'll be able to hear a little bit more about all of that.
And it'll be here in the studio, and like I said, it's probably an hour and a half, maybe almost 2-ish, around there, depending
Yes.
on how many questions. We go Q&A as well. You'll go in-depth onto our story, how we bought, like Mel said. And again, what's different? People ask us all the time what's different about us. And I know you're here for analysis paralysis, but it's the power of being able to solely buy properties.
Well, that was my analysis paralysis. Was okay.
What's
So we
that?
kind of talked about yours,
Yeah,
the whole
okay, let's
tenant
talk about
piece.
yours, yeah.
Let's talk about me now.
Let's talk about you now.
I was waiting for you to point it out. I'm like, oh, I got off easy today. Okay, so Dave's fear or analysis paralysis was the whole tenant piece, and for me, it was the creative financing piece
Oh, yes.
of the people's
You're right.
money. I was very fearful of that, and for me, it was just like, oh my goodness, what if I borrow somebody's money and I can't pay them back?
Which is a legitimate
which
fear.
is a huge,
And you should have that fear.
absolutely, you should have that fear. And I knew that I can't push through it without knowing how. That's just
Yeah.
it wasn't. It's
You
it's a
don't-
must.
you don't just wing
well,
something
it's
like
because
that,
I kept thinking for myself, this is somebody. Not only is it my own family that would be affected if I can't pay them back, but all of a sudden it's somebody else's kids and somebody. No, so I just couldn't do it. So how did I push through it instead of just saying, oh, well, I don't know how to do it, I'm not going to push forward? Well, we met with investors who did it. We interviewed them. We spoke
And where
with
they
them.
went wrong, who went bankrupt. We met
Most
with people,
importantly,
yes.
actually during the live webinar next Thursday, we're going to show
yes.
you that. So there you go. If you want to find out about it, www.iloveopm.com. We'll be sharing that with you and where they went wrong. But that was my fear. That was my analysis paralysis. And I identified it. Like, why do I not want to take, instead of just saying, oh, it doesn't work, or oh, I don't have time, or oh, my kids are young, or
we'll figure it out.
we'll figure it out. It was that, okay, no, this is really important to me. I need to figure it out. I need to spend some time to find a solution to this as well.
Okay, so is that JM, Raphael? JM? JM, I watched so many YouTube videos, and after realizing that I could watch video after video, I decided to become a Mel and Dave mentee.
That's
Hoping to buy
awesome.
my first property. Nice!
Hey, yay, that's awesome.
That's awesome,
That's
JM.
great. Thank
and,
you
and
so
I agree
much.
with you, right? You can watch a bunch of different videos from a bunch of different from a bunch of different,
Or French.
from a bunch of different people who specialize in different lanes and have different thoughts and have different mentalities. or you can get knowledge from someone that is in, like, and again, JM, you probably, the reason you joined in is because you want multifamily dwellings, solely owned, using none of your own money, just like Mel and I. So that's the trick too, is to find exactly what you're looking for and replicate.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have some
Cool,
people
Jen.
who
Thanks
join
for
our
sharing.
we have some people in our program who join and they like doing joint venture partners, but they use our tools, our strategies, creative
And that's
financing,
awesome. Good for them.
business structure, property management. There's so many different things that are covered that people are doing it in different ways, which is so powerful as well.
And you can take our strategies and do joint ventures.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the thing. Joint venture is just kind of like the end of the road, how you buy it, right? Whether you buy it yourself or a joint venture, that's
partners,
it's just
so
personal
many-
choice
yeah.
more than anything. Christine Rose. Christine, is credit a major factor in purchasing property using OPM? Christine, I see this two ways. And the first way I see is whether you're using OPM or you're using your own money, credit does become a factor. I don't want to sugarcoat it. Credit does become a factor. Can you still get financing? Yes. Now, it's just going to affect the financing that you're going to get. So it's going to be possibly more expensive financing, and it's possibly going to be lower loan to value. So they're going to give you less money and possibly more expensive. Now, whether that's OPM or if you saved up your 20 or 25% down payment, okay? Now, the second part of the OPM section that I'm seeing this when I'm thinking about credit is there are times when you're using other people's money, and this is true for a lot of different buildings that we've purchased. So when you're using seller financing, owner financing, vendor take back, promissory notes, contractual agreements, there's a lot of times that Mel and I, I'd say probably more than 80%, let's say, and that might be conservative, more than 80% of the time, they're not necessarily putting us through a financial review like a bank would, right? Because they know, like, let's say, for example, this building was, the owner held a first mortgage of 80%.
Yes.
And we had a lady with secured funds, and here in Canada it's called RRSP, in the States it's 401k.
Yeah.
She held a second mortgage. I did not show them any of my financial statements for anything to either of those people, because they're investing in the asset, and it's a different. Is the interest higher? Yeah, it is a little bit higher, right? But the deal still made sense. So, Christine, when using OPM, you're not dealing with the banks. You're not dealing with that type of scrutiny on every single thing. I'm not saying every lender's going to be that way or not be that way, but just know that with creative financing, they're more lending on the asset itself. Like, they're looking at the building more than they're looking at
especially with owner financing, it benefits them. There's so many reasons why they want to do that they might be a little bit more flexible because they know, hey, at the end of the day, if something happens and this person can't pay me back, well, I know the property.
Yeah.
So
take back my own building.
Exactly.
And I'm going to charge you a bunch of fees and interest on it.
And all that. Yeah.
So
exactly.
it's a win-win. But
Hey,
great question, Christine.
No, that's
great
fantastic.
session.
I'm going to say I never said this yet, but I was thinking about the last comment we got about being thankful they found our channel and all that.
Yes,
and thank you for that. But
Thanks,
I was going to
Jan.
say, if you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so and hit the bell. But if you do like our content, please share it. You can hit the share button
cool.
because help us spread the love. We love going live and we love having these kind of questions. And think of this as well. The more people that are live, the more it also benefits you because you learn from other people's questions as well,
Agreed.
right? So knowledge is power. So yeah, so if you have anybody you think would enjoy our channel, I'd appreciate it if you share it with them or share it on your Facebook or Instagram page.
And we'll be going again. This is why it's good to subscribe. We're going to be going live tonight, either before or after our podcast webinar. I forget exactly. We're going with another investment group. I think we're on a panel or we're doing a presentation.
No, it's a presentation.
Presentation.
Tonight.
There we go. So we'll
Clearly, I'm the one preparing the presentation. He doesn't even know what's happening.
So we'll either go live on YouTube before or after. So again, another reason to subscribe, guys.
Yes, awesome. I think is there
Oh,
one more
Raphael,
question?
any more questions? One
One
more.
more?
We'll
All
wait.
right.
Whoever's asking it, we're waiting just for you. So
There we go.
all good.
Write faster. Write faster.
No, that's awesome, guys. I'm glad you guys all tuned in for the and to the people listening after, because I think this goes on.
It's live afterwards.
What's
yes.
the Apple one? iTunes?
Oh, it's iTunes.
Yeah, it
and
goes everywhere, right?
All the other podcasts, and it stays live on YouTube as well.
Yes.
It's
So
a
if you're
recording.
listening after the live, thank you so much. We have a lot of other videos. So if you like what we're saying, if you're liking the whole creative financing, if you're liking the solely owned, right, no partnerships, no joint ventures, if you're liking multifamily buildings and seller financing, all the stuff that we do all day, every day, watch our other videos on YouTube. And give us comments and questions. I'm the one that actually goes in and answers all the comments on YouTube. And give us suggestions. Hey, Mel and Dave, this video was great. I think you should do a video on this. Boom. Then we'll do it with Raphael. We'll do another video on it. It's as easy as that, guys.
Absolutely.
JM.
I use my own RSP's first home buyer to purchase my first investment property.
Yeah, and JM, we'll go into that more in depth in the action family. I want you to ask it again. But RSPs, so for our American friends, that's secured funds. The same thing as 401k and Roth IRAs, things like that. Secured funds, okay? In Canada, it's a registered retirement saving plan.
It can be TFSAs as well here in Canada.
So for your first home, technically, yes. Like I bought the single family dwelling that I used my RSPs as my down payment. Income properties might be different, but we'll go more in depth in the action family. Technically, and there's different rules, and that's what I'll get into the specific stuff in the action family. So I've got a couple ideas as I'm reading it, but rule of thumb, generally, you can't lend yourself your RSPs for income properties. But
yes.
I'll give you the asterisks on it in the action
But the
family.
neat thing is with RSPs, for those who are kind of new to this concept, that you can use somebody else's, not your own, to buy rental properties. We do it all the time.
Or
like
a
we mentioned,
cottage.
or a cottage. We did it to buy, a single dwelling even. We purchased it. We purchased our cottage that way. Again, creative financing, and that's something as well. And that's a nice thing about it. And if you have RSPs and you're tired of getting really, really low returns, you can find an investor like Investor Mel and Dave. You can reach out to us because we'll happily put your 401k or RSPs to work for you.
All right, Kashik. My biggest worry is refinanced portion in the BRRRR method, the BRRRR strategy. We've got a video on that.
Yes.
What if you do not get the expected lift?
It's me with a big hoodie.
Oh, with your parka. With your...
we do use it because we live in Northern Ontario.
Okay, so what if you do not get the expected lift in the property? That is a very valid concern, and that is something that, okay, I think our cash flow matrix right off the top, and that's Kashik. We have a cash flow analysis matrix, and that is literally the exit strategy that we're talking about, right? So when you're doing...
That's how I got past the fear of not being able to pay back. It needed to be strategic, numerical, logical, so that there was no emotional attachment, and it had to be a logical decision.
So that's where that's the exit strategy. That's the biggest part of using, and even if you're using your own money, let's say you use your own money as the down payment into a deal, you want that money back so you can do it again, right? So that's where you're asking how we do it. It's our cash flow analysis matrix. We make sure that we have an exit strategy. We have one or two different or three, plan A, B, and C that we can pay people back. Or if we did use our own money, get our money back plus some to go do another deal. So yes, I agree with you. How do you ensure it? You have to underwrite the deal correctly, and you have to know where the property is going to go given different factors of the market. So long story short, and I hope you did not already buy a property that you don't know how you're going to lift it, but before you do buy something, know how you're going to get that bigger lift for the refinance.
And we always say exit before you enter. And again, on our live webinar, did you pin the comment, Raphael, on YouTube?
It's pinned, yeah.
Awesome, thank you. iloveopm.com. So register for the webinar next
Make sure you
Thursday.
put www. It doesn't work if you don't put www.
So we'll touch more on that. But I forgot my point with this.
You were going to say the exit strategy.
The exit before you enter.
Yes. And
but I had another point I wanted to say, but now I'm forgetting. I got distracted with my other comment. That's okay. It happens.
No, but yeah, register for the webinar next Thursday. We'll be chatting. Come hang out with us for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Now I remember. So I was going to say, now I remember. So creative financing. And that's the thing. Don't get too excited because if you find a deal that's owner finance and no money down and all that kind of stuff, right? You want to make sure that you know exactly where you're heading as well. So we're talking about analysis paralysis. Yes, action is key, but part of that as well, and we'll talk a little bit more about this during that webinar, but part of that as well is a triangle to success. So you have to have action, which we talk about today. You have to have knowledge, and you have to have resources. So really three pillars here that are going to be really, really important for you to achieve success, because otherwise you're just going to end up getting stuck if you don't have one of these.
Don't carte blanche. Don't think because it's owner finance or creative financing that you should do it. Yeah. That's something people think, well, the seller's willing to hold. Doesn't mean it's a good deal.
Yeah. And we look at tons of deals. I mean, we're well known to have purchased the 12 and 12, for example. Well, when we bought the 12 and 12, did we look at a whole lot more than 12 deals? Of course we did. Did we find off-market deals to help look at the more, the quantity as well? The more deals we look at, statistically, the better chances we are at finding some, right? So it was a combination of all that. And I see Raphael writing another comment. I think we're going a little longer than usual here, but we are getting some
good
great
question,
questions.
guys. I love it. I love when people are interactive. And again, make sure to put comments below, even after the video is live. Ask questions. Mel and I answer them personally. We love if ever you have suggestions about other videos, do not hesitate. We'll do a video on it. It's kind of what we do. Jeff, do you guys, the sum lawyer for signing purchasing documents. Do you guys
use the same lawyer for signing purchasing documents?
No. I'm taking this as, let's say Jeff.
The action taker cup. Yeah. You don't want to spill this one.
The heart skipped a beat there. Let's say, Jeff, I'm buying your building or I'm selling you my building. I'm going to use a lawyer and you're going to have to use a different lawyer. We can't use the same one. It's kind of like and again, I'm not a lawyer, but conflict of interest, or I think then who is the lawyer supposed to represent in the best interest? Is it going to be my best interest or yours? They can't do both, right?
Yep.
I know agents sometimes represent both, but I know for lawyers, because I've had it sometimes where the lawyer we use also represents the seller, and then the seller and I need to decide, okay, who's going to keep that lawyer and who's going to go somewhere else.
And when it comes to lawyers, they're not all created the same as well, right? Finding an investor-focused lawyer has been really, really helpful, and you'll be able to find out what we mean by that. We have a video that you can check out. You can binge watch if you want later. The biggest mistakes we've made.
Wasn't it like $300,000 or $400,000? And we're not exaggerating. Like, it was massive.
Huge. Very, very costly mistakes that learn from us.
Well, learn from us. Don't make the same mistakes. That's the thing with real estate, right? You're buying assets that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The mistakes are not small.
Yeah.
Comedy Wolf.
Do you guys do double dip with the realtor?
Yeah. Like, again, it's different with the realtor. The lawyers, because I think they're, and again, I'm not a lawyer and I don't understand. So I think what Comedy
like
Wolf,
somebody, and what I'm thinking double ending.
People
right?
call it different. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, you can have the same agent that represents the seller and the buyer. And I think the difference there is, yes, they technically have to have benefit, the benefit for both people, which they can do, right? But I think the reason why the lawyers can't is because they're also representing the bank, and I think the bank wants, if you're buying it, if I'm selling a building, if I'm the bank and I'm putting a mortgage on property number 1, I want to make sure that lawyer that's doing the due diligence and representing me as the bank is doing 100% what's in the best interest of the bank and the buyer.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
You can't do that if you're also representing the seller. That's what my belief is. I'm not a lawyer, so I think I've been told that once or twice. So
awesome. Well, let's wrap up this session. We've been live for about 45 minutes. Woo. So wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Again, subscribe. Hit the bell and share our page to others. We're going live tonight, so hit that bell to be notified. Because I'm not sure if we're going before or after yet, but we'll see what it brings.
And we'll decide 2 minutes before we go live.
Yeah, that's usually how it happens.
Yeah, let's go live. Cool.
Awesome. So thank you very much. Keep taking action, and we'll see you as well next Wednesday as well. Bye for now.
See you tonight.